We can't do too many of these, right? We can't do too many tier makers. So, my foray into... There's no Bloodborne on here. Wait a minute. There's what the... It needs Sekiro, and it needs Sekiro, and it needs... it needs Sekiro and it needs Bloodborne. Like, what the... No King... Yeah. Where's Kingsfield and Shadow Tower? And Otogi? Right? It's gotta have all that shit. SoulsBorne? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. Okay? SoulsBorne. So, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Demon Souls, and Sekiro. I don't think we're missing anything, right? Surge 1 and 2? No, let's just keep it focused. Not go out too much. Lords of the Fallen? Tenchu? Nah, these games have a very specific design element made by a very specific crew. And I haven't played those other games, so outside of like Neo, so I'd have to keep them out. This one probably won't take long. This one might rustle some feathers. I think, well, the obvious is obvious. And everyone knows this is the way. Everyone knows that this is the way. Bloodborne is the very best. And I feel validated in my decision again, because even Miyazaki himself, in interview, explained that Bloodborne is like their GOAT. Bloodborne, amongst him and other developers at FromSoft, they consider to be their best work. So, yeah. I mean, I don't even think that's... You could try to refute it, but this is the way. Yeah, this is the way. Ooh, shit, this is gonna take some thought. God. Okay, all right. So here's the thing. I have to really dig deep on this one. All of the Souls games, I think, are good in their own right, but they're all good for different reasons. Dark Souls 2 is obviously the weakest of the three, but is still, like, a great game. So, in my personal, and I know people aren't going to agree with me here, but in my personal feelings, I think the next best game after Bloodborne is Dark Souls 3. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. I think Dark Souls 1 is really good. I think Demon Souls is also really good. But Dark Souls 3, its environments, the new stuff the characters can do, it didn't have... I think a big part of it is that it has a lot of nostalgia bait to Dark Souls 1, which hits people hard. But something about the world and the progression of Dark Souls 3 I really enjoyed. And it also feels the best of all the Souls games, you know? It comes after Bloodborne, so they refine like the character mobility and mechanics a little bit. They get to that point where they're like, okay, we've sort of figured this out. Ambush Souls. I mean, that's a very good... You do that, you definitely get ambushed to fuck in that game. But I like the variety of enemies. I really, really like the very last boss. I think the DLC is incredible in Dark Souls 3. I dig it. I dig it a lot. So much so that I would put Dark Souls right after it. And it's been a while since I played Dark Souls. It's been since 2015 and I played it once. And I did think it was good. I think a big part of Souls is, what has made it engaging, especially as like a viewership experience, is watching to see how people fuck it up. How people are gonna go through this entire game and either not know what to do or even be helped with what to do and still fuck it up. Dark Souls 1 is... I think Dark Souls 3 is a better mechanical Dark Souls. But the first one like set a standard, you know? It set a foundation that hard games are okay. Hard games are fun. And really, in the eventual long run of difficult games, the Souls games aren't like there's bosses that are tough in Souls games. These games are challenging. The only thing that the Souls games really do that I appreciate more than ever now in like video games in general, finally we got games that are out to get you. Games out to get you. They're out to take you out. They want you to die. The whole theme of the game is death. It spawned a genre, right? They want you to die. And that was the thing in a lot of single player games where you're just gonna roll through it, man. Like almost all other games presented very little challenge and you just fly through them, you know? And it wasn't like difficult for the sake of being difficult. I don't think that the Souls series is difficult just for the sake of being difficult. It's difficult for a reason. And Dark Souls 1, I think, is like the game that fully encapsulates that, even more so than Demon Souls. I don't like sadistic games. Like, you're not gonna get me playing Boshi, Meat Boy. Like, those were the games before that were the obvious, like, oh god, this game's out here just to rip your dick off. Like, play a Boshi game or something like that. The game just wants to rip your dick off. This wasn't that. These games were, like, very specifically designed to reward you if you're aware, if you're perceptive, if you're like paying attention. Because all the challenges, once you start playing these games, once you know what to do in Souls games, are they super hard? They're not. You just fly through them. It's just that on your first playthrough, the act of not knowing fucks you up and it gets you. I'm not saying Meat Boy's bad. I'm not saying those games are bad, but those games are a different kind of hard. They're a different kind of hard. My god, this is tough. This shit is tough. Here's the thing. What really makes the Souls games for me isn't the combat, isn't how many weapons you have, even though that's a part of them that becomes important. The big thing that makes these games for me is the world, is like the levels. The level design in Souls games is what does it for me. It's what like does it. And sometimes progressing through the world is more fun than fighting the enemies, or just finding where to go is more fun than just fighting. This is so tough. Here's where my brain's going. Oh, shit. It doesn't feel good, but I don't know what else to do. Like, right? It doesn't feel good, but I don't know what else to do. So here's the thing. I really enjoy the levels in Sekiro. It's got some extremely fun traversal. Like, the traversal in Sekiro is so good with, like, the hook mechanic and finding out these nooks and crannies and jumping in between canyons and discovering, like, hidden villages and all this shit. The thing that eventually makes Sekiro not amazing or the very best is that the combat gets very repetitive halfway through the game. It essentially boils down to a gimmick that you carry the parrying gimmick all the way to the final boss, and then that's just the way it is. It also lacks the elements of other Souls games, which is an effective New Game Plus. There's not really a great reason to New Game Plus, and that's one thing that makes a lot of other Soul games super fun. As soon as I beat Dark Souls, I started up New Game Plus, like, immediately. Like, when we beat it, I think I beat it, and then I played it for 3 more hours in New Game Plus just because I was like, I have all this shit. I now know where to go. I'm just gonna go up here. Do this, do that, run past the dragon, unlock this, do that, go through here, know where to go, progressing the game. Progression feels good. Like, progression, the same thing in like Resident Evil games, progression feels good in a Souls game, especially when you know where to go. Because like, oh, I know what this guy does, parry riposte, fucking stab. I know this guy's weak in the back, stab you in the back. Same thing with Bloodborne, parry this guy, bam, bam. You just look like a professional when you know what to do in these games, so that's fun. The same thing was in Dark Souls 3, it was, the big part of it was like, oh, I can make this crazy build. And the fact that Dark Souls 3 allowed us to go back and make like a crazy Fulgore build, I immediately wanted to play again. Immediately just wanted to keep going. Loved it. But Sekiro's levels are really good, and that's a big part of it. Because to me, there's nothing like the Souls games and being like, I'm here. Oh, God. Wait, where am I? I'm here now. Like that, the moment of realization of like where the game has eventually taken you down this path, and you're in this crazy ass place, and then you go up a ladder and you go through a cave and you open a door and where the fuck am I? Oh God, I've been dealing with that since like 2012, and that feeling still is amazing. When done effectively, that feeling is amazing. You got other games like Code Vein, for example, that you get that feeling in Code Vein, and it happens and it doesn't have the same impact because the levels in Code Vein aren't good. Like the combat, you can do more interesting stuff in the combat in a game like Code Vein, but I just couldn't keep playing it because the levels were just so boring. Like I could not keep myself interested. Like, I see why Code Vein is engaging for some people. It just wasn't, I didn't have fun progressing in Code Vein, which is why the next decision is probably going to piss a lot of people off. Oh God, I'm just getting ready for it. I'm getting ready for the fallout. People are going to be pissed. I might be dealing with this for years. I'm trying to find why I feel this way. You know, sometimes like you make a decision and I'm trying to go back and reflect why I feel the way I do about this. It's not because of the reaction. It's not. It's because I feel like I felt this way, but I can't come up with a reason to defend it, which is what I need to do. I need to defend this reason. I need to defend why I think Dark Souls 2 might be better than Demon's Souls. And the one thing that it boils down to me is the weapon variety. There's a lot of interesting, crazy weapon variety in Dark Souls 2 that keeps it engaging for its complete lack of level design. But on the same level that I was just talking about, the levels are what make these games. So you know what? I felt this way for sure, but I can't think of a good reason. I feel like I felt this way for a long time, but I can't come up with a defense. Because I don't think that the mediocre combat of all the Souls games don't have great combat. They just don't. They do not have great combat. Even Bloodborne's combat is pretty good. It looks great, and it does feel good, but it isn't like the most defining standard in combat action games. And just because Dark Souls 2's combat has some interesting variety in it, doesn't make up the fact that its level design through 90% of the game is really bad and looks really bad, and its bosses are really bad. So you know what? I'm gonna do that. I still think Dark Souls 2 does not go in the okay category. I'm not gonna put it in okay because I still think Dark Souls 2 and the gameplay hook behind it is great. I think it's a great game. I do think it's a great game, but is it nearly as good as some of the others? It's not. I wouldn't even do this. Because I don't think Dark Souls 2 is just okay. I think even at the lowest point of a Souls game made by FromSoft, a game that absolutely lacks the creativity, the vision, the pacing, and the overall world feel of the other games, it lacks that. Still is a pretty good game. Like, all things considered, Dark Souls 2 is still pretty good. Dark Souls 2 ends up having the best New Game Plus of all of them. They added so much shit that you can do when you come back and you play Dark Souls 2 again. NG Plus was a priority. And it's really terrible that some of these other games up here, especially Bloodborne, does not have much incentive for a New Game Plus other than just making it harder. The fact that there's a lot of incentive in Dark Souls 2 New Game Plus means that it has a little bit of a charm to it that I do find kind of interesting. I think the environments of Dark Souls 2 are at least engaging and challenging enough, even more so than even a game like Nioh. I think Nioh's good, but some of its locales get pretty repetitive. And yeah, there's some repetitive shit in Dark Souls 2, but I think at least there's enough variety in that repetition every once in a while to have different stuff happen. I think Nioh has better combat than all of these games. I think Dark Souls 2 is still like a really good game. Really good. Demon's Souls is a clunky fucking game, man. This game is so weird. Playing through it was easier than most of the Souls games for me. Maybe it's because you have to twist your brain for how you have to play Souls games, right? For like any game, you're playing a Zelda game, you know how Zelda puzzles work, you gotta twist your brain to do that. This is how it works. At least with Demon's Souls, some stuff is like really obtuse and really weird, but I think it's designed to be clunky and funky. It's by design meant to be that way, and that's what gives it its charm. I don't feel like a lot of the areas of Boletaria are super interesting. I think the one that was the most interesting, and I can't remember what it is because it's been a while since we played Demon's Souls, but the area of the game where you're really high off the ground and you have to fight enemies that can just knock your ass off like at any point, and you're climbing this tower. I think you're climbing the tower to eventually fight the multiplayer boss. The boss that is other people. There's some genuinely super cool ideas that went into Demon's Souls. But what it gets credit for from me is foundation. It started a foundation that eventually became something much more refined, which is Dark Souls. Yeah, the prison, Latvia Tower. I think that's what it is. I think it's Latvia Tower. Yeah, world tendency character. There's some weird design things they wanted. They were getting freaky, you know? They were getting weird with this game. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that it is the foundation of it. However, it's not like you go back and you play Demon Souls with the perspective of the other Souls games and you're just like, man, this one's so much better. It's really not. Like, I don't have nostalgia attachment. And to be completely honest, my first playthrough of Bloodborne, I was like, oh, this game's okay. You know, I thought it was okay. It wasn't until subsequent playthroughs that I came back and I really started to appreciate Bloodborne, and I started realizing things I didn't realize before, realizing what I missed. A big aspect of Demon Souls, when I went back and played it with no nostalgia attachment, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it's a very obtuse, clunky game, even by comparison to the other Souls games, Souls-style games. I don't think any of the latest FromSoft games in the Souls vein are bad. I don't even think Dark Souls 2 is a bad game. I think it's definitely lacking focus in many ways, but I'll defend Dark Souls 2 for a little bit. It's okay. It's pretty good. If we were to like rate these games, 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, fucking 15 out of 10. To me, like Dark Souls is like everything they learned from every other game sort of just jammed into this one. Where do you think Elden Ring is going to stack up? I hope Elden Ring is here. I think this is asking too much, but I really hope Elden Ring is right here.